Yo, it's your boy, Matic here, back at it again for another video. As you can see from the title of the video, I just want to share my experience and stories on my views about watching anime with dubbed voices. But before I share my experiences, please remember to support me by leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. I will highly appreciate it. Over 98% of my viewers are not subscribed, so let's please change that. Yup, you read the title. I used to watch anime and dub. Not like we had many choices back in the days as far as we wanted to watch your favorite anime in its original sub. It was a very rare instance to hear the anime you were watching in its original format. Now, this is a time before we really had YouTube up and running with its 240p quality, and anime sites were running wild all over the internet. While these options did come along sooner or later, these were things that you would have to really dive deep and search the internet for specific sites to watch your favorite anime without your computer being overloaded with pop-ups or risking a virus. One of the ways people first watched and discovered anime in its original Japanese format was through various VHSs. A lot of sellers in the streets, especially where I'm from, knew what was hot, and they knew that DBZ was like a big thing, so they sold a bunch of DBZ movies on VHS. And there was a couple sellers who sold these various DBZ movies with Japanese voices and no subtitles. But my experience wasn't through these DBZ VHSs. The first time I ever heard anime out of its American dub was actually on TV on one of these low-key, low-budget channels. You know, back then flipping through that red and black old school cable box, not many people remember that. But yeah, I definitely remember flipping through the channels and finding this one program that showed trailers for video games. But at the same time, there will be days where this program will actually show anime in its original Japanese language. I'm not sure how this program was actually airing these animes in an original form, but I do remember seeing clips of the Bio Broly movie in Japanese, and also it was uncensored. And again, it didn't have no subtitles or anything. You would just watch it. So it was my first time hearing Dragon Ball Z voices in Japanese. I was disgusted by the little squeaky voices that was portrayed by the characters. Like, hearing Goku in that voice just felt really unnatural to me. But obviously, I was just used to the English voices, so my brain was engraved with hearing Sean Schemmel as Goku. We look at it differently now, but of course, looking back, like I said, it really felt unnatural. And I also stumbled into Fist of the North Star through this same program, which was also shown in its original form. I mean, watching them heads explode was something I couldn't believe my eyes back then. Well, now that you know that part of the story, this brings me to the beginnings. Most of the animes I watched through my younger years were dubbed through programs like Toonami or Anime Network On Demand, or even the early days of Adult Swim. At this time, the dub sounded natural. We didn't really consider another way of watching anime, and it's kind of one of those things where if you first watch the anime in dub, you happen to try to rewatch the anime in sub, and you kind of have that feeling of like, wow, this does actually sound better in dub. And that's because you are genuinely used to hearing an anime in dub. I'm going to describe some examples of animes in the form of like how in the gaming world we would describe games as being a AA title or a AAA title. So I would say that most of the animes that aired on Toonami and Adult Swim were mostly AAA animes. Examples like Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, Dragon Ball Z, Death Note, Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, Inuyasha, and ongoing. Most of these animes were dubbed under Funimation, and Funimation had the budget at the time to hire these very experienced voice actors. But if I were to compare these Funimation dubs to animes that were mostly on DVD or airing outside of TV, I would say that these animes weren't that good in dub, as a lot of these voice actors sounded a bit lifeless, or they sounded like they were forced to fulfill these roles. I swear, most of these female actresses that played these characters in these animes, I feel like they sounded like they were trying too hard to sound like its Japanese counterpart. But at the end of the day, it just sounded kind of cringe. Not like the voice actors slash actresses had much of a choice anyways, but I believe that even now there's still that thing where the animes that aren't really front and center still have these like lifeless voice actors playing the roles of these characters. Let's not forget the 4Kids dub, which was mostly targeted to appeal to the younger audiences. All of the voices you hear from Yu-Gi-Oh!, the original Pokemon season, Sonic X were all done by the 4Kids team. And I feel like these dubs, when rewatching, sounds all nostalgic to hear. I'm gonna bring up animes that I've watched specifically dubbed, where I felt like these voice actors put in their all for these characters. And overall, I feel like watching these animes in dub are my preferred way of watching the anime over its Japanese counterpart. Once again, some of these animes are top-notch classics and legendary ones. I've brought them up earlier, and one of them is Death Note. Now, I've watched the anime first in dub through Adult Swim, and later watched the anime in sub. While I feel like both versions are engaging and enjoyable, it all comes down to your preference. But in my preference, I feel like the dub is the way to go. I feel like every character in the series did a fantastic job playing their role. Although Light Yagami, who is voiced by Brad Swiley, sounds like almost every average teenage high school student in an anime, it's his twist between his sinister personality and how he acts as just a regular person on a day-to-day life. His laugh is so evil that it's almost as if you can really feel through the character.
First, I wrote the names of the worst criminals I could think of, like I was cleaning up the world one name at a time, so that eventually no one will ever do anything evil again. And only then the world will start moving in the right direction. It'll be a new world, free of injustice and populated by people who I've judged to be honest, kind, and hardworking.
L, played by Alessandro Giuliani, just the way he voices him, it fits pretty perfect. You can sense the aura between how serious he is when it comes to really trying to uncover Kira, and also just like how it just matches his character being this awkward, smart, weird introvert that's just getting behind this whole Kira situation.
That's right. By showing my face to you now and by sacrificing the lives of 12 FBI agents, I have lost the battle. But I'm not gonna lose the war. This is the first time I've ever put my life on the line. I want to show Kira that we're all willing to risk our lives if that's what it takes. And that justice will prevail no matter what.
Brian Drummond, who plays Ryuk, is also a very good casting, but overall I feel like the dub version of Death Note is a good watch. And if you haven't already tried to give it a chance watching it in dub, I would highly suggest you do give it a try just to see how you feel about it. Another great example of an anime with great dubs will have to be Full Metal Alchemist. This is probably one of the top dubs for sure. Edward, played as the legendary Vic Mignogna, and Alphonse Eric, played by Aaron Dismuke, literally put their heart and souls on these two characters. You can literally feel every emotion that they put on the line to bring these two brothers to life. Every character, I mean every character in this anime dub, realistically sounds like how you interpret them if they were real life people. Every voice mainly fits the character, and that's what really lured me into watching Full Metal Alchemist in dub. Now the last one that I'm gonna bring up and mention is gonna be Samurai Champloo, only because I've never watched or even actually heard it in Japanese up until today recording this video. The dubs of all three main characters, Mugen, who is played by the legendary Steve Blunt, Fu, who is played by Carrie Walgreen, and Jin, who is played by Kurt Thornton, all do a magnificent job dubbing the voices of these characters. Mugen sounding like the arrogant, cocky badass he is, Jin having this smooth, low-tone, tranquil voice, and even the background characters in some of these episodes can really hit. But all in all, I can say this is probably one of my favorite top dub animes for sure. Now, currently with how popular anime has become, whether you watch your anime sub or dub, it all comes down to your preference. A lot of the animes in which I grew up watching, where I was watching them in dub, I usually prefer watching them in sub now. And if I do watch them in dub, it's more or less for nostalgic sake. Like, if I really wanted to watch the original Naruto, I would absolutely watch it in English. Again, it's for my personal nostalgic sake. But most of the current animes I usually watch in sub. I can't tell you when was the last time I fully watched an anime series in dub. I do remember firstly watching Dr. Stone in dub before I fully started watching the series in sub. I can say that Dr. Stone is another recent anime that has a really good dub. Another anime with really good dubs will have to be Cyberpunk Edge Runners, another anime that I watch only in dub, and it features the likes of Zach Aguilar, who plays the main protagonist David Martinez, Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Faraday, which I was really surprised to find out that it was him voicing the character, and Emmy Lowe, who plays Lucy. And I'll say it, it's all based on your preference. I know a lot of people and friends who still watch anime in dub, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anyone judge you for your preferred way of wanting to watch a show or anime under your own comfort. There's still a lot of hard-working badass voice actors who are still dubbing anime characters till this day, and even some new refreshing voice actors like Alex Lay, who you can see reoccurring playing a lot of different characters, and he does a fantastic job with these characters. I would say this, people who are fans of watching anime and dub, you guys are actually in a good place now, because a lot of the animes will get a dub release faster than usual. If an anime releases in sub, a couple of animes will come out like on that same day in dub voices. And before, you would never get that. Before, it used to take months or even years to even get the dub version of the anime that you're watching. And this forced a lot of people to miss out on a lot of great animes because of the fact that it didn't have dub voices. Now, I'm just gonna list some of my favorite notable voice actors for anime, and at number 1 will definitely have to be the man, the legend, Steve Blum. This man has done it all, from voicing Tom and Tanami, Roger Smith from Big O, Spike Spiegel in Cowboy Bebop. He's definitely a big part of my childhood, especially from Tanami. Another one that I would say that has to be one of my top favorite voice actors would be Christopher Sabat. He was definitely a big part of my childhood, voicing a ton of characters from Dragon Ball Z like Vegeta, Piccolo, Shenron, Kurobawa from Yu Yu Hakusho, Rorona Zoro from One Piece, and many more. This man is definitely legendary, especially with his voice with Vegeta. Like, everyone knows this voice. Everyone knows the voice of Vegeta because he's literally one of the best characters in Dragon Ball Z. Now, I'm gonna add one more to my list, and there's gotta be the boy Johnny Young Botch. This man was the Black Power Ranger in Mighty Morphin, and he pursued voice acting. He plays Ichigo in Bleach, Vash in Trigun, Yu Narukami in Persona 4, Yukio in Blue Exorcist. I almost always immediately know it's him when he's playing a character, so I really admire his voice acting. I could list more, but I'm just gonna leave it as that. And from that being said, this concludes my video. Let me know in the comment section, what are your favorite anime dub voice actors? If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I would highly appreciate it. My name is Cinematic, and I'll see you guys on the next video.